This is Harry Rose, and you're listening to WMHHLP 103.5 FM in
Nights I couldn't sleep. You let the sun beat you home. I ask myself over again, what am I doing wrong?
Ooh, happy Friday, beautiful people. It is Friday in the M. I think it's kind of snowing outside. I think some snow is coming through. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm over winter. Like I'm ready for winter to just pull up. I'm done. And I haven't even been outside that much. Like yesterday was like the first day I've been outside. Like I don't even want to. I don't like it. Welcome to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy, and it's Friday. So I'm tuned in. I got me a glass of water because I didn't make myself no coffee this morning. But I'm looking. I've got excuse me. I've got two computers. To my right is my desktop, my Lenovo, and to my left I got a Mac. So I check out all the news from the Mac because it's accessible. I see it, it's up. So I'm looking at this piece from the Business Insider, prepping for America's collapse, inside an off-the-grid Utah homestead, inside an off-grid community of families in Utah's desert, preparing for the collapse of America. There's always people like this, right? Like there've always been people like this. But there's the residents of the Riverbed Ranch are building their own small town from scratch. The goal is to survive if America collapses. I know these are white people. It got to be because white people. So, summer 2019, Fisher and 15 other households broke ground on a 1,245 acre property, beginning the long process of bringing their dream of a self-sustaining community to life. During the pandemic, they said, I had neighbors who were losing their homes due to unemployment, Fisher said. I thought, this is really silly that we keep having this problem. Why don't we solve it? While this line of thinking was idealistic, the latest economic downturn actually slowed Riverbed's growth. Today, some 40 families live there full time. The stereotypical doomsday prepper, the paranoid fearmonger stocking bullets and canned goods in a bunker, is a fringe figure. So what they're saying is that's not who they are. But a growing number of Americans have gained interest in learning survival skills. I don't know, Harry, these might be our people. We might have to go camp at the riverbed in Utah because they sound like they might be our people, Harry. We might have found our lost tribe. So last April, the financial services firm Finder found that the number of Americans who said they've recently spent money on emergency preparedness jumped from 20% in 2020 to 29% in 2023. They spent an average of $150 on items such as non-perishable food, medical supplies, and cases of water. So today, you can't turn on a streaming platform without catching recommendations for popular survivalist reality shows such as Alone or Naked and Afraid, and also social media homesteading and disaster prepping influences have amassed millions of followers across various platforms. And my ex-husband would engage in this kind of conversation because he's like this, right? He was like this way before I even. This is how I know about it because he was very much like this. So disaster preparedness is on the rise, in large part because disasters are as well from the supply chain shortages caused by COVID-19, yes, lockdowns, to the climate crises, yes, from wars in Ukraine and Gaza to tech-driven loneliness, from a runaway disinformation to intractable political polarization. More people are asking, am I better off being hyper dependent on the global industrial economy? Would it be safer to grow my own food, store my own water, and not depend on complex systems I don't understand? I think, Harry, you say this all the time. The government is not going to be able to save you. So the folks at Riverbed Ranch have answered these questions decisively, embracing a radical return towards self-reliance and small-scale sustainability. But as I spoke with them, I couldn't help but think of all the people that their vision would leave behind. Listen, it's always going to be people who are going to get left behind, whether because they're afraid, they just don't believe it, they don't have ability, they're just not interested, or they believe the government will take care of them. Those are the people you're going to encounter. I mean, every movie that you see with a dystopian slant is always a group of people who are just not going to be into it. Just not. So what do we learn? Go your own way. Go your own way. So I don't know. It's just it's interesting. Yeah, Harry. I that's why I didn't send you. That's why I was reluctant to send you the picture. I'm not posting that. So, so the author of this article goes on to say, I met Gleason, the 73-year-old founder of Riverbed, at the community center, a sparsely furnished single-story building with a large open space and a vintage Star Trek pinball machine tucked in the corner. He spoke in a soft, gravelly voice, at odds with his firm handshake and tugboat stature. I noticed he was wearing an Apple Watch. But can these people hold arms though? Like if somebody, because somebody gonna march on them if the world comes to chaos, more chaos than what it is. So the idea for Riverbed Ranch, he told me, began after a harrowing experience decades ago. He was a young father to 3 daughters living in rural trailer park near a work site in Idaho when during a harsh winter the power went out in the middle of the night. Our drinking water was frozen, the temperature was dropping rapidly, and we had no way to feed our babies, Gleason said. He suddenly realized the extent of his family's dependence on complex social, economic, and technological forces that he could not meaningfully control. That experience rewired his brain, he said. And from there, he developed a years-long obsession with how to become less dependent. He studied permaculture, stockpiled canned goods, and researched off-grid communities around the world. I was feeling pretty good about what I had accomplished. And then I heard a little voice. He told me, what are you going to do if the problem lasts 2 weeks longer than the resources you have stockpiled? Oh, God. Riverbed Ranch became his answer. He and the initial group of shareholders split the cost of the property and began building. White people will colonize something, whether they call it homesteading or colonizing or whatever. I actually dig this idea a whole lot. So I'm not making fun of it. I'm just like terrified of how much I really like this. So Gleason took him for a ride around the ranch in his pickup, pointing out landmarks, construction projects, empty land with long-term aspirations. Each of Riverbed's shareholders gets a 2.5-acre plot that they agreed to furnish with a modern septic system, a solar array for power, and infrastructure to grow food. And so as they drove past countless vegetable patches and at least one house made of hay bales, Gleason explained that residents ran an agricultural co-op where everyone could share the food they grew. The goal is to be able to grow enough food for everyone in town to live on it in the event that outside resources become unavailable. But in practice, most residents still rely on external income to fund building projects. as well as buy food and supplies from regular stores. I mean, I get it, right? Because the world hasn't collapsed yet. So you hold on to your job, but you build this place because you know or you believe that the end is nigh. And that don't mean like tomorrow or next week, but maybe some years down the line, like another pandemic or something that will cause everybody to like lock down in place. They'll be prepared, you know. So anyway, if disaster strikes, the ranch is relatively well prepared. It has a medical clinic, a volunteer fire station, gas and diesel tanks, and a town store. Gleason also pointed out an impromptu gravel mixing plant that one resident launched as a joint venture with the co-op. There's even a church belonging to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, run by volunteers on site. See, that's where it's going to get on my nerves right there. Damn Mormons. It's going to get on my nerves because now it's going to be a little rough going, I think. That's just my take on it. So roughly 70% of the residents are members of the church, but that's more reflective of Utah's demographics than a religious agenda. And I get it because, if you come from that, that's what you know. But are they open to other people who don't have that religious slant, or maybe they have a different religious slant? Will they make room for, Jehovah Witnesses or Muslims or, Hindus or whatever it is? So maybe not. You might have to go build your own compound. So there's no cell reception, but Elon Musk Starlink blankets the area, allowing many residents to support themselves by working remotely until the apocalypse hits. And that's my favorite word, apocalypse. Most people still need to earn a living. So Gleason likes doing things his own way, but in the interest of long-term stability, he has sought to maintain positive relationships with local county officials. Riverbed Ranch is 60 miles from the nearest post office and completely untouched by physical utility grids. Residents are served by groundwater and private solar systems, but legal entities are appropriately registered, building codes are enforced, and tax dodgers are not welcome. So you can't come there and say, you know what, I haven't paid my taxes, I'm gonna hide out here. They're not gonna allow you to do that. So, and joining the community is not as simple as as purchasing a plot of land. Residents are interviewed and vetted by elected board members for their level of commitment to the endeavor, relevant skills, and reliability. Oh boy, Harry, that's something we have to think about when we make our getaway place. Like, who gonna come? Who do we let come? How do we vote them on or off? The main thing that we look for are people who have integrity. One of the most important things is that when somebody says they're going to do something, they believe they're going to do it. Once approved, shareholders spend $35,000 to receive water rights, a plot, and access to communal facilities. They also earn the right to vote on certain issues and elect representatives who oversee things such as road management and conflict resolution. I wonder what that looks like. I vote on certain issues. So who has an overarching say then, if it's just certain issues that get voted on? That would be my concern. It seems logical to call Riverbed a prepper community. Gleason's wife, Colleen, said of Riverbed's residents in 2021 TV interview, most of them tend to be prepper types, but many residents they spoke with bristled at the term prepping or survivalism, often brings to mind nefarious compounds or right-wing fanaticism. Yeah, most residents saw the community as something markedly different from the stereotypical gunslinging doomsday preppers. I mean, I think that's just something they're gonna have to deal with, right? Because when people hear this, that's what they're gonna think. There are some who are focused on storing bullets than anything, and that shows their worldview that power makes right. They don't embrace that at all. From the writer's impression of the dozen or so residents that they met, Fisher's statement rang true. Most of the shareholders that were talked to struck the writer as committed, apolitical hobbyists who wanted to forge a deeper relationship with the systems of production that their lives depended on. So this group has a little bit of everybody. Priscilla Hart, a shareholder who was in the process of moving from Ogden, Utah to Riverbed with her husband. There are people who just want to retire out there. There are people that are preppers. I think that there are people that are conspiracy theorists. But I think that's really a wide range of people who just want to be able to take care of themselves. We want our foundation strong enough to be able to manage if there's trouble. This is a lot. So the Harts, their lot contained only a storage shed and a well with the time that the writer was there. Construction was getting started on a house and a septic system. They have a strong interest in getting their hands in the dirt and all the things that go along with self-sufficiency. So in Ogden, the couple had chickens and a garden, but they had wanted to commit to the lifestyle more deeply. The only hiccup had been the question of making money. So even in a community that aims to be self-sufficient, most residents can't escape the need to maintain finances and earn a living. Hart and her husband were both employed in the medical field doing hands-on work, which is difficult to translate into a remote job. But Hart told me they plan to develop a business that could be run from home. We just really like the concept of the community, the remote location, and off-the-grid homesteading package. Even just living out in the country, you don't necessarily have a lot of close neighbors and people to draw off unless you've been there for a long time. So many residents echoed her sentiments. They moved to Riverbed because they wanted to live close to other people who were similarly eager to be less dependent on broader political, economic, and social structures. So I wonder how they do with race. Like, I wonder if they allow, people who aren't white to come. The more you can learn to take care of yourself and not rely on government, the better. I think these are your people, though. Sarah Vizani moved to the ranch with her husband in November 2020. She's a trained chemical engineer, and she became skeptical of the products created by modern chemical production, things as pesticides, microplastics, and wanted to live away from what she saw as increasingly toxic environment of cities and agricultural areas. It's nice that the science can come in and show why some things are working, she said in an interview with Fox News. But in many ways, it messes up what's already there. I want to be real, she said. I want to live with purpose and intention, and I really thrive with being connected to the earth. One person that the writer met visiting the community to decide whether it was worth the move, Brittany, had been invested in off-grid self-reliant living for years on her family's permaculture farm in Nebraska with her husband and daughter. And she discovered the Survival podcast about 13 years ago, and it made her aware of the nefarious nature of the government. Brittany said, referring to a survivalist podcast that intersperses permaculture advice with lessons on casting lead bullets. This doesn't freak me out. I think that I get it. She had his reservations about whether Riverbed would be a feasible option. It would mean downsizing, and her family needed an ample grazing land for their cattle. Still, she was hopeful it had what she was searching for, that community vibe, but still not under the government's thumb. I think anytime you're in America, you're going to be under, I think these people are a little bit delusional if they think they're not under the government's thumb. They can be off the grid all they want. It's just some, the men in black rolling up in Escalades and be like, whatever. So, but perhaps more than any other disaster in America, Riverbed hopes to address the crises of trust. In 2023, only 16% of respondents to a Pew Research survey said they trusted the government to do what's right, a historical low. And 79% said that Americans had too little or far too little confidence in one another, while 64% agreed with the statements Americans' level of trust in each other has been shrinking. So for all the distrust in government and other abstract power structures, trust is a core tenet of what Gleason, the founder, aimed to foster and what residents say they were looking for in Riverbed. Gleason told the writer he hoped that by restructuring society around a smaller network of relationships, Riverbed would become a comfortable place for families to raise children in a safe environment with strong ties to the land. Already, 52 children belong to shareholder families. Not all of them live on site permanently, but 2 were born there. This is quite interesting, Harry. It's the article is up on businessinsider.com. It just goes on and on and on about what they're doing. But I'm fascinated by it.
See, here's the thing, right? They're constructing this with a semblance of still having some type of structure, but if the world ends, there is no structure, right? So you're literally, and then also gods and all of that. You said they're Jehovah's Witness, basically, right?
No, they're Mormons.
Mormons.
I was saying, do they have room to allow other people who were not? And they're just mostly Mormons, Harry, because they're in Utah. I mean, I bet you it would look different if they were, Pennsylvania. And what makes them different than the Amish? Like, the Amish has been doing this since the beginning, right? And there's a bunch of Amish in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So, like, how is that different than them?
I think at the end of the world, everybody's religion doesn't matter because everybody's God failed, right? So it's the end of the world, okay? God, why have you left me? So, but I mean, I get it. And then also, I mean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put lipstick on the pig, right? And not saying that, I'm not looking at them in a negative way. I'm just saying you have the stereotype of preppers. And like they said, you have of being right radicals. Probably now you equate them with MAGA, right? So what they're doing is they're trying to put lipstick on that pig of the MAGA gun-toting person that you think when you think of a prepper.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're just trying to rewrite it. So you think to yourself, well, and the government has been telling us for years, prepare for something, right? So the thing is, when the government says it, people just go, okay, the government is saying it, but people don't even pay attention to the government when they say it. Most people don't have more than a week's worth of food in their house.
Listen, if the world shut down right now, Harry, I'd be in trouble.
That's what I'm saying. Most people just go, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to count on the government. And the thing is, when you're in a populated area, like you're in a pretty much populated area in downtown New Haven, that doesn't help, right? Because now you're competing for those limited resources.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help. And then your neighbor next door to you have a week's worth of food. He has a day's worth of food. And now in 3 days, he's starving.
He's going to be coming for me.
He's going to be coming for your food.
Harry, so are you saying we need to get us some land somewhere and just be like ready? we need to do this.
Well, exactly. We need to be the group of people because
oh man, I'm 60. Really?
Because here's another thing is at that point when even those places are thinking of, it doesn't matter how much they have, how much they've saved, they're thinking our resources are limited. How are we going to allow another mouth into this camp? What do they bring? So you have to actually show these communities, these prepper communities, that you're worth taking a chance on.
Ugh.
So that let you win. You have to bring something. You have to
Yeah, you gotta bring something.
So yeah, so it's better to create your own community. And as much as I hate to admit it, you need people in those times. One person or just you and your family, or if your family is what, 10 people, that's not gonna cut it in those sites. You need to find people to pull into your group, people you trust, because there's strength in numbers. So I mean, that's why, Babz, I'm headed towards the media.
Like Harry's like, damn it, I'm not messing around. I'm not even gonna waste my time trying to organize or I'm just gonna drive myself right toward it and just be like, put my favorite music on, drink my last good coffee. That's it.
I've just been hoping that nothing major happens before I get my name. you know,
I don't think I really don't think anything major is gonna happen, Harry. Like I don't foresee that in the next. I think we're some time away from that, but I think at some point it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like
the thing is that it's more possible than anybody thinks, right? So because it doesn't take a bomb.
no, listen, Harry, I'm telling you, the pandemic really got under my skin. Like it really got under my skin.
That was nothing, Babs. Because if the electric grid goes down,
I know.
in the Stone Age, because now everything in your house becomes a large paperweight. So if you have an electric stove, it doesn't work. Your TV, your devices, everything doesn't work. You have to learn how to do everything manually all over again. How many of us have retained the skills to do things manually? Not many of us. A lot of people don't know what. Yeah, I mean, just look at it. If you just look at technology wise, a lot of people don't know what a rotary phone is, right? So people have not retained the knowledge to do things manually, and that's why in the rural areas they're the ones who are gonna thrive, because they have
Yeah.
retained those skills.
Yeah, you're making me more nervous now. now I'm equally more paranoid than I was.
Even me, that I have, like, we just recently bought bags where you could grow vegetables in,
Yeah.
but if something happens, I don't have the vegetables, and I gotta start growing vegetables and wait 7 months before I see you know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm starving for months. Because I have to start it now. I have to start prepping now. It's not a prepper is not just somebody who's gathering, who's hoarding stuff.
Yeah. It's more than just let me just keep some stuff at the house. It's a real commitment to, what do I need? I mean, you got to think about the medical aspect of it. I mean, there's so many things that you got to think about. See, that's where I get a headache.
That's why I'm so happy that I'm off of all of my medication. That's one thing I don't have to worry about.
Well, I'm down to like 4 things now because I'm trying to get off too, because if things get dicey, Harry, I don't want to be trying to figure out how to find these prescriptions on the dark market.
Just think about the diabetics who use insulin. They're SOL, right? They're shit out of luck. I mean, shift out of luck, right? So Imagine that. Even that. Imagine the fighting over the limited resources in those pharmacies, the looting that's going to take place in those pharmacies to try to get those things for their family members who have diabetes and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's survivor books who show you how to make your own insulin and stuff like that.
I know, Harry. I didn't see. That's exactly what I mean. I don't want to do any of that.
I know.
But I recognize the valuable skill of that.
Yeah. I mean, we could call them crazy, all we want, but if it happens, those other people are gonna survive.
Yeah.
We're just really too comfortable right now. We haven't prepared the last two generations behind us to be able to survive either.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate.
Ah, wow. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
But that being said, FEMA and everything, they on their website they have at least have 2 weeks of resources in your house because you never know. I think a couple of years ago we had, you remember that there was an ice storm or something that knocked
Yes.
electricity for like 3 weeks for some people. Some people were over a month.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't an ice storm. Remember that freak hurricane that knocked out all the power everywhere?
Yeah, that we got hit by a couple of tornadoes all over the state. So this is the thing that it doesn't take a world-ending event for something to affect your life, even if it's for a temporary basis, even if it's for a month. I mean, you're waiting on now for government agencies to come into your neighborhood, Red Cross and stuff like that, to come into your neighborhood but that takes days, and you're suffering and wondering how, has the world forgotten about me for about a week before, and these are small events. Something major happens, there's no way the government gets to all of us. There's just no way. And then they'll prop up some local agency office that's 5 miles away from you. Your car doesn't work because the electricity's out. It's like there's so many things.
Yeah.
I was looking at is it in Chicago? I was looking at a Walgreens closing in Chicago, and all the residents, especially the elderly residents in that neighborhood, who were basically panicking because that's where they get their medication. And it actually served as a food source too. So in a already a neighborhood that's a food desert, that Walgreens is going away. So medication, food for the elderly and everything. But, in that spot, that Walgreens just isn't making money and is getting robbed every other day, and people are shoplifting and everything. So they decided, we're leaving this neighborhood. And that's nothing, that's not a natural disaster. That's just the business deciding to move away from you. And for those residents in that area, it is a disaster. The elderly are trying to figure out how they're going to get their medication. Now they have to travel 3 miles to the next pharmacy or something, and they don't have transportation and all this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that, it doesn't take, like I said, it doesn't take a natural disaster. It doesn't take a bomb. It doesn't take this. It's just us being prepared It takes us being a little prepared, and that's the hard part. When you're so complacent, you've been we we're we got a lot of privilege.
I keep saying, Harry, we gotta have somebody to come on and talk about this. Like how far, how I want somebody to give me a guess about, how far away are we from this? What should we be doing? Although I always tell people, you go to US preparedness site and it'll tell you exactly what you need. And every time I go to that site, Harry, I'm always scared out of my mind.
Yeah, go to the FEMA site.
And then I'm afraid. And then I'm like, and then I don't want to do nothing because I'm like, ooh, that's too scary for me.
Well, it's scary for a lot of people, and I think that's why a lot of people just disregard it. They're like, "There's just no way I'm going to be prepared,"
Yeah.
so they don't bother getting, the even the slightest prepared. Just get a little prepared, just so you're able to survive a week. And that's what they're saying. Be able to survive 1 or 2 weeks. Maybe somebody will come and get you.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine those people in Katrina who suffered and are sitting on their roofs. All those people.
Oh, I know. That's a really good
Yeah, it's just think about that. And that's why I say especially like for you where the water is right there. I mean, you're not right on the coast, but you're close enough. But imagine some water event happen. That's why I say have some inflatables, have some things that I want to be able to paddle away and not have to walk around in the sewage, right? Just imagine a lot of the people in Katrina got sick from that water they were walking in. They were,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
so what do you call those? A boogie board or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Those things at the $5 store. Have a few of them. I have them here. My granddaughters throw them on the floor and they pretend they're in the water and stuff like that. But at least I have them. And even if I have to walk in the water, my granddaughters will be on the boards. You know? So it's hard to think about. It's hard
It is.
but just imagine this winter. You see we haven't had it bad. I mean, we got winter for the last 2 weeks, but across America, Midwest, oh my God, they've been getting crushed and everything, and that forces people to stay in their homes, not waiting for somebody to shovel them out and all of this stuff. So if you don't have anything, get prepared for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm prepared for at least 2 weeks. My stuff has gotten raided, Baz. My kids after the pandemic, they just thought I'm the supermarket, the free supermarket, and they've been raiding my stuff. So I got to restock.
I am not prepared, and I say this all the time. I say it. So, but I think I think at the very least you should just be prepared for a natural disaster or any kind of disaster, just because if you can't, I mean, the pandemic has really given us a taste of what we need to be prepared for. Because if it locks down again because of some viral thing and you can't get to a store, right? Like, because remember how that was? You couldn't get out, and then if you did get out, the lines were so long.
And I'm not a good a rule follower, right? So
Oh boy.
I hated going into a supermarket and having all this tape pointing you could only go down the aisle this way, down that. I'm going to get my food and I'm trying to get out. I'm not trying to walk through a corn maze. You know, it's like it's
I know, Harry, but if you do it, everybody will do it. Then you have chaos.
people were looking at me like, who does this guy think he is? And I'm like, because all I want is a couple of cans of corn on this aisle. I'm not gonna walk all the way around. I'm gonna cut.
Yeah, but see, if you do that, because that's how anarchy starts. If you do it, then everybody's gonna follow suit, and then there'll be disorder and chaos, and then nobody will get anything because they'll have to have security escort, break up the chaos. Because then everybody's like, well, if he's doing it, I'm doing it.
Well, that's why I only went once. After that, it became Instacart.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's just no way I'm gonna spend an extra 45 minutes shopping for a couple of things at the supermarket. That's ridiculous. So Instacart became my friend. Of course, Instacart costs you an extra $30 for your groceries, but it was easier. But yeah, the pandemic closed down a lot of stuff. There's another COVID strain out there. A more
I'm sure.
more
It's gonna continue to be strains out there. The door is open.
And I think there was a report that the Chinese are working on another COVID virus that would be 100 times deadlier than the COVID that was released.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine if that one escapes their labs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's maybe not today, Harry. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's coming. Don't y'all throw your mask away.
So it as intentional as chemical warfare, right? I mean, you never know. You never know. People
I think chemical warfare is the next frontier.
Yeah, that and AI.
Yeah.
That
I really think that's the next frontier. You can't tell me not. I mean, I just believe that.
right. Each of our countries all over the world, all these countries are competing now with AI. And just imagine what everybody's trying to have the bigger AI that could defeat the other AI, and all these AIs are just going to come together against us because they're going to be like, why are we fighting each other when the human beings are the problem? So, yeah, just look for that. Where the AI machines from each country, they're not going to have any problems coming together like the human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's us that have problems coming together, seeing everyone as the other, as different. So we go, oh, yeah, we can't get along with another country. They're another country. They're the other. But
Uh-oh, is that the girls? The girls are there?
Yes.
Oh, that's right, you're home.
Goes Lumi. Yes.
Go see her.
Say hi, Lumi. Say hi, Babz.
Hi, Papa.
Hi. Hi, cutie girl. Oh, she's so big. Look at that hair.
Oh, come here,
All
baby.
right. Okay, hashtag girl dad, girl grandpa. Hashtag girl papa. So what are y'all doing today? Do you stay in the house? Do you go outside? Do you go do stuff? What do you do?
Well, I'm not going anywhere, but maybe Karen will take them somewhere. But let me see. There goes Daisy. Can you see? You got the hiccups? Hold your breath. Daisy, when's your birthday? May 2nd. That's her birthday. She has the same birthday as you.
I have the same birthday, May 2nd. We have the same birthday, same birthday.
Oh, Bubby. Yeah. So yeah, we have the girls till Monday
Hmm.
because Bella's in Florida competing in the flag football playoffs.
Okay. All right.
So we got the other two.
Listen, it's all right.
Bella's
Cheer her on.
Bella's the quarterback on her flag football team.
Hmm.
She got an arm. She's good.
Okay. 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 Sounds good.
If
Sounds good.
she could stick with it now that it's an Olympic sport, flag football.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah, they got a pretty good team. Well, I guess.
That's pretty good. Good for
Well,
her.
well, yeah, Bella, whatever Bella gets into, she's pretty good at. So
I
it's
like that about that girl.
it's just what she's gonna stick with. What sport is she gonna stick with going into, her high school and college years?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, she'll be in high school before you know it.
12 years old already. Jeez.
I know, like that's just a few short years away, right? Just a few short years away, and then boom.
I'll tell you because you're gonna walk me out.
Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, I hear it's a child. So
Yeah,
anyway.
getting into the basement.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They're upstairs.
Yeah. So I think I'm definitely gonna step up my survival game and just put some stuff in the house that I need to make sure we have.
Well,
How long can you keep water? I probably need to buy.
that's what I was gonna say. At the very least, go get yourself bottled water.
Yeah.
Go get yourself like I think at BJ's it's like $3 for the 24 bottle case. So you get yourself for $10, you have what is it, 40, 68, something like that. Bottles.
Mhm.
Do that. Water's essential. Sorry, but if you can die of thirst pretty quickly.
I know you're like, at the very least, have some damn water.
Yeah, water is essential. I got the water downstairs. That's one thing.
Oh,
But
Water.
water. All right, so Harry, the lady that's coming on this morning at 10:15, she's going to be talking about medical assisted suicide. And I listened to Paul's conversation with state rep Josh Elliott yesterday because this is what got this conversation started. She heard his conversation, and so she wanted to come on and talk about it in greater detail. So
I guess we're following Canada's lead, where you could get assisted suicide if you're depressed.
well, we don't have it. We're just entertaining it.
It's
And
just
it's not for depression. I mean, I was listening to Josh Elliott. I mean, there's a lot of, it will the kinds of things that they want to introduce. It's not going to be you just saying you just like I feel bad, I want to kill myself. No, it's almost to the point where you're like, this is not even worth my time trying to get some assistance.
the thing is that it's always getting your foot in the door of anything, right? So it's like you start with, oh, people are suffering physically and they need, and then eventually gets carried. Daisy, you gotta go over there. So, for me, it's always, that thin line. But I agree, there should be assisted suicide for those people who are suffering in their final days. But if you have 10 years to live, I don't think.
No, I don't. It's not going to be that. It's going to be people, I think, 6 months. But, but then Paul chimed in with the story of his brother, his dear friend, his best friend, who went all the way to hospice with a brain tumor. And then, they were just giving him he was imminently about to die. And then his brain tumor just went away. And then he he left hospice, Harry, started a whole other life.
Oh, you know how many people, come back from the brink.
And I don't know what you do with that, Harry. I'm like, if he would have got his wishes, I think Paul said, he's not even mad about that. He's not even whatever. He still, I think he still believes that people should have the right to do whatever. But, I just find that interesting that, for me, it's always, I get it on a lot of levels. I get it. But me, I'm like, what if that moment comes, Harry, where some miracle happens?
And it happens all the time.
And you take the opportunity for the miracle to be a miracle out of his miracle hands, and you go and do something else. Do you know what I mean? You go ahead with his medical assisted suicide.
Well, that's the thing about everything, right? That, eventually we all want to play God. And take the decisions out of God's hands, if you believe in them.
I know, but we do it all the time. This just seems to be profound, but we do it all the time.
People do it all the time, but this is you've lived, and and all of a sudden you're well, in Canada, if you're feeling a certain way, you could. And that's what I mean. It's not like people don't come out of depression. It's not like people don't. So I don't know. I guess, we should have the freedom to.
I don't know. I'm interested in hearing the conversation. I'm interested in having the conversation. That's what I'm invested in. I don't have I hear both sides of it. Do you know what I mean? This one of these issues, I'm squarely in the middle. I could hear what you're saying. I could also hear what they're saying.
I don't believe in it for depression and stuff like that. Like in Canada, you could be a teenager and feel like you're suffering.
Well, I don't know what it is in Canada. That doesn't seem quite right, but
wow.
But I do feel like if you are terminally ill,
terminally,
and you're suffering, you might want to have some say on how
when you're in hospice and they, they're waiting for you to pass, and then they give you morphine and everything. They're kind of assisting you in a form, but it's the final moments, so at what point, I don't know. It's too complicated. I'm not going through it, so putting myself in those shoes is just not good. Anyway, we gotta go.
Yeah, we'll be back. I'll be back with my guest, and we will have a richer conversation about this. Nancy B. Ollisberg, who is a retired civil rights attorney, is going to come on and talk about medically supervised suicide. What a conversation for a Friday, Harry. Next week we can't end the week talking about survivorless stuff and and suicide.
Next week we'll talk about how your tap water is killing you. Anyway, all right, you're listening to Love Talk on WNHH 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. That's Rawls-Ivy. I'm Harry Droz, and as soon as I cue music, Harry.